right, Roscoe, one of the things that has come up, I think, in a lot of shows that have African American artists in them, is that there's almost a renaissance or a new attention to Black artists and what they're doing. And I wondered if some of the events that have happened, like the Black Lives Matter movement, and also how people are being affected by COVID in the African American community at a higher rate, if some of these things are concerning you, or if you see a difference in your life experience. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, having two young kids in the 20s, and I have an older one, she lives in China. She's not affected by a lot of things. So we do attend protests. I take my camera, go with my kids and everything. One, if they're going to protest, and I understand their protest is my protest. I'm going to be out there with them and everything. So yes, I think the Black Lives Movement has brought a lot of things to the forefront, and actually the Capitol protest has brought a lot of things on how we treat each other differently and how the cops and society sees us. One is fighting for the right to survive, another one's fighting for something. I don't think they have figured that one out yet. But it's a good time, and as I told someone, we're pulling the covers back on America. We get to see really what we're about, and we're finding out that we really need to start thinking about how we treat each other and the things that we do, and the racism that's built in the system, because there's truly racism built in the system. A lot of people don't want to recognize it because they don't have to deal with it. But just coming up here for this interview, I passed a cop, and as a Black male, I'm not doing anything wrong, but I'm still looking in my rearview mirror for the next 5 miles wondering, okay, did he suspect me or something? It's just a way of life for Black males and not just Black males, but Black period. You look at society different, am I doing something wrong? Am I, and you're not really, but how is that going to be taken? Like I tell people, I said, there's a big difference with me running through a neighborhood, jogging, versus, somebody else. If I'm running late night, I could be considered a suspect on what's happening down the street and everything. And so the awareness of Black culture and awareness of Blackness itself is needed in America. So I like the fact that these are bad times, but I will go back to buildings and COVID and everything else. It's a good time for us to, excuse the word, but give ourselves enema. We really need to start cleaning ourselves up in America because, there are things that we can fix in this world, but if we continue to ignore it, it's just going to get worse. And we have generations coming up that are getting along quite well as we older people who are, to me, fueling the fire. We're preaching things that we believed 20 years ago, and we as older people, we're not looking at the younger people. They're getting along pretty good. They still have their problems, but we're creating and still holding on problems that they want to get past, and they can't understand it. Why we don't want certain people in our neighborhoods, and it's like, well, we don't care what color they are, as long as they're behaving, we're fine, right? So I'm welcoming these young people, and my kids are quite interested. So, in a couple of years, all these racist people will die out. And I'm like, well, not that quick, because it's at the dinner table, and I teach in school, I see it, kids will say something to me, and I'm like, well, where did that come from? They can't back up their beliefs in something because it's just been handed down generation to generation. So my job as a teacher, and being one of only 2 Black teachers in a school, I feel like it's an awakening for them. They get to talk to me, they find a different perspective and everything. And one of the comments one of my students had said, we were talking about the Confederate flag, he says, well, that's, I was born in the South. And I said, well, what does Black people get to wear, to promote their Southern heritage and everything, but also just to put a point on the table for them. I said, you go to a church? He said, yeah. I said, Baptist, yeah. All white? Yeah. I said, so if I walked in with a Black Lives Matter shirt on, I said, your congregation would judge me. And yeah. I said, well, that's what we did with the Confederate flag. I said, you may be the nicest person in the world, but you have put out a signal.
Well, Roscoe, you were talking about the symbolism of the Confederate flag, and I see in this piece, which is called Circle the Wagons, there is a little Confederate flag in there, and you have a cast of characters around in trailers or mobile homes, let's say, and lots of activity going on here. And the thing that I found interesting was Circle the Wagons was, to me, sounded like a little bit of a, like the Western, ominous Western reference.
Yes, it
So,
is.
could you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, trailer parks are quite interesting. I spent several years just sitting outside of trailer parks and viewing them and teaching. You have kids who are from trailer parks, and it's just interesting that it's a small micro community right there. Everybody knows each other. You're so close, noise, everything else. But what I find intriguing about trailer parks is, one, it's somebody's dream home. So I don't bash trailers. It may be the only thing mine. But also, it's a community that is inclusive of usually a certain cultural element. And I'll say that because it's loud. People are talking. You know your neighbors somewhat, but you put one person of a different color in there, the whole climate changes. I went by a trailer park and it did have a Confederate flag on there, and the other trailer had a Black Lives Matter on there. And so
Oh, wow.
you have to think, so it's okay, do they get along and do they understand each other? View and respect it, or is it one of those don't go over that guy's house? I've seen nice fences put between trailers and no trespassing. So I figured, something's going on with that. But it's just an interesting community with trailer parks because, like I said, it's a close-knit community of people. Everybody knows your business. The junk outside, no storage space, and I guess the easiest way I can put it, most people who live in a trailer or children that I have in my classroom are very loud speaking. And I can tell because when you open up a trailer, you're in the front door. You're right there and everything takes place. So you have little cubes down there for your bedrooms and everything else, but your living room is usually right in the front door. So everybody comes in, kids are talking loud, television's on, video games on. And,
Interesting.
when I first moved down here, I lived in a trailer. My wife and I lived up in I worked for Thompson, who's up in Hendersonville, so we just quit our jobs, came down here because we had a child, and I wanted to spend more time with my kids than I was, wanted to do at work. So we just became broke and moved in a trailer, and I hated it because it was a triangle, and it was nothing to do but walk straight one way or the other, and there was no room to move. But I did actually find it's quite soothing to be in one because you are in a tube. If you don't want a lot of room, you're fine. We had a house fire and ended up moving back into one of my rental trailers. So I had my mother-in-law, 2 Jack Russells, 3 kids in a 2-bedroom trailer. And it really gave me a new meaning or a new understanding of trailer parks, with more respect for people who live there because it may be the only thing they can afford. They're trying to do the best they can. But also the influence that it has on their kids is that usually they want to move right beside it. And I always love driving through the country because you always see a house and there's a trailer behind it. And I always tell people, I said, that's somebody's daughter. Dad wanted her to be close. You're marrying somebody. We'll put a trailer behind the house, so therefore you have someone live. So you'll see a lot of houses that has trailers behind it. And on the other end, you'll see a lot of farmland that had a nice farmhouse, and then you'll see trailers in front of it because it's no farming going. Let's put trailers, rent it out, we're making income there. The stacking of the trailers, just the uniform of the trailer. But on this one, I did run into a trailer park, and this one was actually, when I put them in a circle, it came from me sitting on the side of the road one summer looking at the trailer park, and I was going to the store and I pulled off on the side of the road and I was looking at the trailer park. I don't ever do sketches. Like I said, I like looking and I just collect the memories. I heard a car behind me and I look at the rearview mirror, here comes a cop, and he walks up to the window, and luckily most of the law enforcement knows me in the county, so he's like, Con, what are you doing? I said, I'm observing this trailer park. He says, I said, what are you doing? He says, I had a call. There's this black guy out here looking, staring at us. I'm like, I'm sorry. I said, but I'm on the road. I'm not doing anything. He said, well, but just the fact that I was a black guy in front of a trailer park with all white people, it called the cops, which was kind of strange that, you would worry about a car out there, but like I said, it's it's their community. They don't want anyone bother it. And like I said, I love going trailer park because it is fun junking up a piece of artwork, cutting out the old refrigerators, the cans, and everything else.
Well, yeah, these trailer park pieces have gotten a lot of attention, and you have several. I think you have 4 or 5 of them in this show, and they are to me, humorous and not really judgmental. They are full of life and activity, and it's really interesting hearing that you lived in one too. So it's not like a judgment or an outside view. It's somebody who knows where they lived. And then like your apartment building, you've lived in an apartment before, and so you're showing not only your interior experience but your exterior experience.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I try to encourage my students to do is make your art part of you. Why are you doing this? Is this something that reflects you? I'll go back to art therapy and everything else. I'd never seen an angry kid or a kid with emotional problems doing a pretty picture, and I always tell people, I said, put yourself into the artwork. I don't like artists borrowing things from people. Experience it. Looking at Joseph's work, you can tell, one, he has lived these things. He has studied these things. He has been in these situations versus just coming up with it and putting it on canvas. And that doesn't say if you're doing artwork based on the war scene, you don't have to go to a war just to experience and everything, but you have an understanding of the insight of things. You're not just looking in the window and drawing things of representation. You actually bring your heart and your feeling to it. When I do the trailer parks, like I said, I've lived in one, I've been in one. Being a teacher, you have to go visit students in them. So it's not anything I'm just driving down the road and observing. I'll drop off kids at trailer park. I'll go pick them up at soccer practice or something from trailer park. They're proud of where they live, and I'm not taking that away, and I'm not going to make fun of that. I just want America to understand that you go to the city, apartments. You go to the country, trailer parks. So it's basically the same thing, just a different location and
Right.
just a different community and everything. So the dwelling of individuals in certain areas. I think my next task will be take on RVing.
Yeah.
Interested in me.
Very good,
I have
very
been RVing twice. I don't like it, but it's interesting.
Well, these are. Like I said, these are getting a lot of attention, and they're almost half of the image is taken up with sky, which is interesting, and I really think these are quite nice and brand new pieces. So, we've really enjoyed speaking with you today, Roscoe. You have taught me quite a bit, and the thing I really liked that you said was in response to the turbulent times we're in. You said that the youth in our area and in our community and country are the people who are kind of ready to move forward, and it's great to have trust in that for the future. I think that's a really good message. So, and you being a teacher, you're seeing that firsthand. So, thanks again for spending time with us, and we hope to see more of you in the future.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me up.
Okay.